Shirley Elrod. This is really kind of hard. I'm sorry. I was born in Oregon. And I have 5 sisters. My father, I knew him for 4 years. When I was 4, he left us. And my mother never loved us. She never said that she loved me, or she never held me for years. And every now and then my father would come back in to see us, bring some candy, but never had a relationship with him. And never had a relationship with my mom, so by the age of 16, I was looking for love. I just wanted to be loved, and so my sisters too. So I was pregnant and out of the house by then. But during that time, my mom was married 5 times, so I had 4 stepdads, and they were abusive, alcoholics. One of them was really bad. He decided that he was going to cut my mom's head off with a knife. And we watched him with the knife up to her throat, wanting to cut the head off. And we as kids, my sisters and I, were screaming and crying, "Don't cut her head off," because he was abusive. So I grew up with a lot of abuse, so I thought it was normal. So I went out into the world at 16, had a baby, and the first husband, I've been married 4 times, the first husband was abusive, and he landed in jail. We were into drugs and alcohol, and he landed in jail. And his friend came over to the house to let me know that Eric was in jail, and his friend raped me. I answered the door and he raped me. That was the first rape. And I had just had my baby not that long ago. I told my husband, I said, "He raped me." He never believed me. And he ended up doing it again. The night I was in the hospital giving birth, he was out sleeping with another girl. So we were only married 3 years, and I met another person, and he was abusive too, because I thought it was normal. I really thought that everyone gets beat up. It's normal. You're raised like that. You see it in your father and your stepfather, and so you go out, and I think that you attract people like that. You know, say, I want to be abused. I want to be beat up. But it's not that way. It's just not that way. So my second husband, he was also abusive, and his name was Bob, and he used to come home and try to choke me, Sometimes I would pass out because he would be drunk, totally drunk. He hung out in the bars. The doctor said the alcohol went to his head. He didn't have enough oxygen in his brain. So when he was beating me up, and it didn't matter what I did, he thought he was fighting a man. And I found out that I was pregnant, and he hit me so hard in the stomach, I had a miscarriage. So I never had a baby with him. I would kick him out, he would come back. Oh, I'll never beat you up again. He would. It's that cycle of abuse. And so then I met another guy because I was lonely. I was raising my child by myself. I was a single mom, come from a poor family and struggling. Tried to work 2 jobs. So I began to hate men. Hate in my heart because I thought they were all the same.
Yeah.
And I still struggle with that today because is there any that don't abuse you? I think then I met Mike, and he was a policeman. He pulled me over is how I met him. And then he came to my apartment. I was moving to an apartment, and he came to my apartment. And he seemed really nice. He wanted to take me out to dinner, so I said, okay. And then he came one night, and he raped me. And at that time, I was looking for something spiritual in my life. So I started going to this work with this guy by the name of Doug, and we had meetings in the home. And he got worse and worse, and so I was spiritually abused because I thought this guy, he called himself a prophet. He said that he was a prophet, and we had to follow him, and we had to disown our family, our friends, to be a part of it. And it grew. We met out in the woods, had an old wood stove, not even an indoor toilet. I mean, it was really, really rough. Bikers were coming, and different people from different walks of life. And basically, he told me, I went to him, my spiritual leader, and I said, this policeman raped me. And he goes, you have to marry him. You have to marry him. So we were told who to marry. We were told what to do. And if we missed any kind of gathering, he would come to our houses, and he held us by fear, condemnation. He taught everything but things like mercy and love and grace. I didn't know any of that, nothing. And he could read your mind. And I was involved in that for about 8 years. When I first started coming to Victory, I was sitting at the pastor's table, and I looked at him and I said, can you read my mind? And he looked at me like I was crazy, because he couldn't. But I experienced where a person could read your mind. He could sit right here and tell you what you're thinking right now, and he would be right every single time. And there were punishments that we had to do out there. We had to sometimes. I got in trouble a lot because I had trouble following him. He taught us to beat our children. He beat his children. He killed his wife, she was my friend. Her name was Connie. He killed her. And so that was my spiritual life. We used to have to stand in the middle of the circle, and they would gather around, and the ones that were standing around, would basically cuss, call you a worm, say you are lower than the dirt of this ground, you are not worth. It was a mental abuse until you were broken and couldn't stand anymore. So that went on for a long time, and then he got I was kicked out, okay, because it got to the place I could not continue to do the things that he was wanting. So I left, and
that was a blessing.
Because I left, I had no family, no friends, because I disowned them all. And so I went back into the bar, into drinking and drugs and partying, worse than I ever have. I ended up in jail. I know what it's like to be behind bars. I know what it's like to be double belly chain and handcuffed. Because I used to be mean. I was mean, really, really mean and angry, because I had a lot of bitterness. And I tried to burn the jail down. I did. I got some papers. That was real stupid, wasn't it? You're in jail and you're starting a fire in jail. How are you going to get out? I mean, I have done some really stupid stuff. And I've hurt a lot of people, because I live with a dealer. And he came over to the house and wanted to get some acid, which is 4-way window pane, and then you only take a chip of it off, put it under your tongue. This kid never had taken it before. So him and his buddy left, and they're driving. This was really interesting now that I think about it, because they're driving down the road, so he's just stripping his clothes out, throwing them out the window. And his buddy is freaking out, because he's going, why are you doing that? Why, So they ended up in an orchard. This was at night, and it was rainy and muddy. It always is in Oregon. And he found a tree, and he started picking leaves off of it and eating it and talking to God out of his mind. So his friend come back to our house to get us, and we used my car to go pick him up, because if the cops found him, they would link it to us. So there's mud all over my car. I can remember that so clearly. But that kid, we got him back to the house. We didn't have any downers at the time to give him. So you know what he did? He started crawling around the floor like a snake all through the house for many hours. We just started partying again and just threw a blanket over him. But he literally was crawling like a snake. I can remember that so good. And I can see how now that could be with the enemy,
Absolutely.
It's just so many connections all this time. I can't believe I said that. So,
when you first came to Victory, tell us how you got saved.
Okay.
Yeah. You're fine. Go ahead.
One other thing.
Take your time.
I didn't want to live. Some of you know that I did not want to live. I came to North Augusta with a bag full of pills, about 103, I think they counted. 103 pills that I was going to take, because I've tried before. I've tried three times. They put me in the psych ward. So I related to people in the psych ward. I relate to people. I've been homeless. I relate to people that's been homeless and people that's been on drugs and alcohol. But they put me in the psych ward because I didn't want to live. I didn't want to live anymore. My way out was pills, even though I had a gun one time. But my way out was pills, and I was bound and determined. And this was my last stop coming to North Augusta, because I had the pills with me. So I'm online on the computer, and I found Victory, and I thought, Victory, maybe I'll go check it out. So I walked into Victory, and all you people there looked like I I felt like I didn't belong. You guys all had it together. You were all dressed in dresses, and and it was like, I don't belong here. I really don't belong in this place. But they said something about after the service, go into the reading room.
Hospitality room?
Yeah, hospitality room. So I went in there, and they were doing the foundations thing. And I thought, because my heart was hungry, and I was hurting, and I had given up totally on life. And I'm old. My sisters have never been to church. I mean, our whole family, my family's not saved. I had no one that was witnessing to me or anything growing up. But I went in there and went to the foundations class, and they're going through the book, and I'm going, well, that doesn't make any sense. It says, once saved, always saved. How can that be? What, a murder? Somebody that's lying or stealing or killing or murdering can still be saved? No. These guys are crazy. And the pastor, I can remember saying, he said, there's someone in here that needs to accept the Lord. And I'm looking around like, I wonder who that is. Not a clue. Because there was a few people there, and I thought, I wonder who's going to get saved, And then so when I asked that question, I can't even believe I asked it because I didn't speak, and I hated men, and I didn't trust anybody, nobody. So
what
the
did you
pastor
ask?
said, Chris Dicker could probably answer that question
What
for
was
you.
the question?
Oh, once saved, always saved.
Mm-hmm.
Once saved, always. I don't know what's saved, and how do you get it, and how do you keep it, kind of thing, So he started talking to me, and I don't know what it was. It was God, but I just started sharing with him, and I just broke, and I was taught not to cry, never to cry. So when you see me cry, that's not the way I used to be. So he said, you need to get Jesus. You need to accept Jesus. And this is how
the preacher?
Chris Dicker.
Chris Dicker. Okay.
The preacher was there, but he couldn't take the time to talk because there was other people. So Chris, he wheels his wheelchair over there by me. First time I met him. And he started talking to me, and I accepted the Lord. And it was like this weight lifted off me. So intense, so intense. And he called me the next day or something, and I said to him, he probably thought I was crazy. He said, I have Jesus in my heart. Jesus is really in my heart. Do you hear me? Jesus is in my heart. And I kept saying that over and over and over because I didn't think he believed me, and I didn't know how, Jesus got there, but I knew he was in there.
Yeah.
I knew he was in there. And then, as we all know, the enemy is there to attack. And what happened was I decided, going back to that church, those people are crazy. I don't need them. And okay, I was involved in the satanic arena too, and I had in broad daylight I can see dead people. I seen dead people on hills, on mountains. I knew when I was in an active situation where they were practicing, and I had my spirit soul, I had my spirit animal. I mean, I had spells cast on me. I've cast spells on others. So those dead people, that I was starting to see them. So when I came in, and this is after I accepted Jesus. So when I came home, and that voice was always speaking to me, You need to get rid of yourself. You are not worth it. You are not worthy. You are, just continual voices. So I came home, and I heard the voice, which I recognized, but I came in and the voice was angry with me this time. Very, very, very angry, and said to me, I'm going to kill you. Literally, I am going to kill you. And I knew. So I went upstairs. I was at the house by myself, and I went upstairs, and we have dogs. And so something was banging on the door downstairs. And the dogs, I don't think I'm crazy, the dogs' ears and started barking. They heard it. And the enemy was trying to get into my house. And that was a battle. That was a battle because he's real. He's
Amen.
real. I've been around other people that have worshipped the enemy and served him and done things, sacrifices. So I know that he is real. And he was after me at that time because he didn't want to turn loose. So,
Exactly.
So I told Chris, I said, you're going to think I'm crazy, but I'm really not. And I drew a picture of what I was seeing at the house in the tree. And he looked at that because it had blood on it. And it was really horrible. It's a horrible picture, and it's big. It's not a little tiny thing, it's big. But you know what? I don't see those no more.
Hallelujah.
Those no more, and I don't hear that voice no more. And I just thank God that you guys, I know some of you have prayed for me, and I just thank you so much because I'm alive because of the prayers and because of victory, finding victory and going through recovery and talking about those things. And I want to help others.
Amen.
I really do. And one person in recovery, she asked me to be her accountability partner. That was the greatest experience. Just happened a couple days ago. I met with her, and she's free in some areas now too. And it just, we need one another.
Yes.
We need one another. And
Amen.
there's a lot more I can share, but I think I'm done with that now. But I just want to say, you guys are awesome. You're awesome, all of you.
Sure.
And I love you. I didn't know how to love before. And it breaks me when someone cares, because I never had that.
You weren't shown love before either.
Right.
You were only shown abuse and hate.